Good afternoon. I'm outside near a road, so you can probably hear cars, not my car, but hear cars driving by. I'm actually almost literally on top of the highway. I think I'm maybe about a couple feet away from, not highway, but a road. It gets pretty busily traveled, so you'll hear a lot of cars here. But anyway, I wanted to provide some data for June 15, 2020 on COVID-19. I don't pay as much attention to prevalence anymore because we know a lot of people are going to get infected. In fact, if we look at these data, this figure here, we'll see that the United States is pretty high in terms of prevalence. It's over 200 individuals. I think it's 400 individuals per 100,000 who are infected, and Sweden's catching up. We know Sweden had these very relaxed rules about how to deal with the coronavirus, and it was depending on people to practice safe social distancing. We see countries like Italy and Spain and Korea all doing better than we are right now. But I want to go to this. I want to do a couple things. I want to look at just these rankings, and I did these rankings based on mortality rate. So mortality, you take the population size, right? You also take the number of individuals who died from the coronavirus. You divide the number of individuals who died from the coronavirus by the population, and then you multiply it by some rate base. And I chose 100,000 because that seems to be a logical one. So what you see under mortality rate is the number of individuals who die per 100,000 from the coronavirus. And Belgium has the highest level. Now, Belgium is known for having very good data collection, so this is a good thing. I think they're very reliable. UK seems to be doing a good job. Spain, Italy, etc. Sweden, we have at 48, so they're lower than Belgium, UK, Spain, and Italy. Now, one would argue that their population density is lower, but I'm just looking at deaths, so population density doesn't always play a big role in deaths. It'll play a role in infection, but it may not play a role in deaths, and I can prove that from my point. And I don't liberally use the term prove, but I've been doing these analyses for a while where I've been looking at case fatalities, probability of dying if one has the coronavirus, and looking at, for instance, the proportion of the population that's 65 and above in a country and the number of hospitals per 1,000 population. And I've come up to the conclusion that the more hospitals one has relative to the population 65 and above, the lower the case fatality or the probability of dying if one has coronavirus. I even created this index I call the HB65, which is the hospital beds per 1,000 divided by the proportion of the population 65 and above. And we can see that there's a really good inverse relation between case fatality and this HB65 index. So the deaths seem to be more so related, and this is controls for population density. Deaths seem to be related to this preparedness for dealing with disease, especially when you have a large proportion of the population that's older. So that's what we have here in the U.S. Where are we at? We're at about 35 deaths per 100. This is per 100,000 individuals. So if you had 100,000 individuals, 35 of those would die from the coronavirus. That's what that's saying. I also did this in the United States because that's more relevant for us here. Some of you may not be interested in what's going on in Sweden, Denmark, or Poland. So let's focus on the United States. We've been opening up. We've had protests. We've had all kinds of stuff going on. And what we want to do is look at what the impact of those are. So now protests were about a week ago, so we'll have some impact of those protests on cases. So what I'm looking at here, and I'm not going to look at the prevalence. The only reason I'm not looking at prevalence is the number of individuals who are currently or have ever been infected with the coronavirus per 100,000. And the problem is that we don't have recovery data from all the states. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut's fine, but Massachusetts, I don't have the data. Illinois, I don't have the data. Georgia, I don't have the data, so I don't have an accurate picture of the prevalence right now, or active cases, right? So that's a problem. So I'm not worried about prevalence at this moment. Of course, what we're most interested in is people are afraid of getting the coronavirus because they think they're going to die if they get it, or they're going to be severely disabled. So I'm looking at deaths here. That's the best thing I can look at. And I'm going to look at mortality rate, not case fatality. So case fatality, again, means the probability of dying if you have the coronavirus, in this case. Mortality rate is the number of deaths divided by the population times 100,000. And these data here are sorted by mortality rate. So we can see that New York has the highest mortality rate, which is about 159 deaths per 100,000. So again, people are saying, oh my God, 158 people died. Well, 158 people died out of 100,000, right? That's what we're looking at. So you got to keep that in mind. Keep perspective in mind here. So the highest in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, followed by states like Louisiana, Michigan, Illinois, Pennsylvania, my state here, Maryland, Virginia, one of my home states, because I lived over there. I'm from DC, actually. And you go down to like Texas. Now, some detractors will say that, wait a minute, we saw in Florida that the data were not corrected accurately. But in the world of statistics and biostatistics, there's nothing I can do about that. These are the data we have. Provide us with better data then. These are the best data. Now, it's up to you whether you trust what's being reported. And as just from a psychological perspective, you have to be careful not trusting everything, because your life will be hell, to be honest. If you think that everybody's lying all the time and everybody's deceiving you and there's a conspiracy everywhere, I don't know. That's an issue that you have to deal with. I know for one, in our state of Pennsylvania, the data are meticulous. And in many states, from what I've looked at, the data are collected really, really well. It's up to you whether you want to believe them or not, but whatever you do, do not allow your political affiliation to taint your viewing of the data. That's not good. So please understand that these are the best possible data. Okay? So what does this say? Well, it says that the chances of dying if you have the coronavirus are pretty low. At worst, they are like 9.3% chance, and that's in Connecticut. And at the lowest, they are at 2.241% in Texas. All right, well, that's it for today. I hope you have a good day. Bye.